The Will You Grow Show goes live Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern. To receive notifications, click the subscribe button beneath this video, or visit YouTube's Will You Grow channel to see more shows and videos. And now, here's Will You founder Angelique Medow with this week's Will You Grow Show.
Welcome to the Will You Grow Show. How are you? I'm Angelique, founder of Will You and WillYouGrow.com, an inspirational multimedia company that provides education and mentoring to nurture empowerment and joy. Our weekly Grow Show begins by tackling touchy subjects that'll tickle your tempestuous thoughts, fan your eternal flame, and salve your soul with hope. And today, we'll have a very special guest on Zoom, Bishop Henry Bolden III. He'll share his thoughts on overcoming abandonment and how it's personally affected him and his relationships. Here in the studio with me today are our audio aficionado, Ben, and our video Santa, Neil.
This guy.
They help make this show happen while sharing their personal perspectives. This episode is sponsored by Life and Nature, who keep our hearts beating and our world turning, and by the Carrie Campbell Foundation, which supports creative video content that increases love among all people. We say thank you to the Carrie Campbell Foundation and each and every sponsor and donor. We'd also like to thank each and every viewer who hits the subscribe button and the notification bell, the like button and the share button today. It helps the channel grow and it makes it easier for new people to find and watch our videos. Now, on to today's episode, Overcoming Abandonment. If we believe or feel that we've been abandoned by someone we love, the loss and grief that we experience may be so intense that we might dive into distraction, protection, or both. Whether we seek solace in drink, food, drug, work, gambling, sex, or the nearest quiet cave or something else, these types of choices are like a Band-Aid on a chainsaw wound. They don't cover or heal us, and they leave us open to further injury and infection. I can relate to feeling abandoned and will share a brief story in case it may be helpful to anyone who's watching the show. For about 30 years, I believed the awesome stories I told myself about the people that I loved. Those stories always showed people in a miraculous, heroic, and glowing light. Now, I'm not saying it's bad or wrong to see or describe others in a positive light. However, lying to ourselves and others about the whole of who a person is, idealizing and idolizing them, are often a trademark for and a justification of being abandoned by that person in some way. By not accepting all of who they were, their dark side, so to speak, I could also then deny or not accept my dark feelings about my situation and myself. These feelings included despair, isolation, fear, and lack of worthiness. My feelings caused me to behave in all sorts of ways that ranged from vulnerable to bullheaded. And these less than conscious behaviors ultimately jeopardized my physical, emotional, and mental health to a point near death. However, I was stubborn in one good way, and this was that I refused to give up on hope that I could live a life free of the chains of these emotions. To help me heal, I chose a myriad of techniques and tools, which ranged from reading every book I could get my hands on, taking floral remedies, using essential oils, exercise, counseling, integrated manual therapy, reflexology, tapping, meditation, nutrition, art, dance, and a variety of energy work. All of these healing modalities helped in some way, but more than any of those methods, there has been one thing that is within my power to choose that came first. It came before the ways to heal. This one thing has allowed me to go from fat and unhappy to healthy and happier by the day. And that one thing is just as free and available to me as it is for you. And I still use this every day. That one thing is curiosity. Instead of laying down and saying, oh, that's just the way life is, or oh, that's just the way he is, or she is, or I am, instead, I ask myself curious questions like, what do I feel right now? And why do I feel that way? Why am I like that? And what do I want? As well as other questions. Instead of shutting down, getting stuck in unhealthy relationships or behaviors, I chose to stay curious so I could learn more about myself. And I have. And my question for you is, will you? While you think on that vital question, we'll take a quick break to see what people have to say about us. When we come back, we'll hear from the crew and special guest, Reverend Henry Bolden III, to talk tips, tools, and elements from Mother Nature to free us and help us heal.
The Will You Grow show will now take 60 seconds to check in with you. If you're wondering how to apply a Grow Show topic to your life, here's what people say about mentoring with Angelique.
I think she just sensed that I was very uptight with my emotions. And she's been able to guide me and help me know those emotions. When you get in tune with your feelings, for me it brought a lot of joy, a lot of confidence. I think it was more just knowing that the emotions I wasn't using, they weren't there. And I think she was able to sense that, and in her natural gifted way was able to get me to deal with them. She has a knack for what she does that's real, honest, professional. It's hard to describe her because it's wonderful.
This is your girl. Self-care is not selfish. If you really want to dig deep and stop living on the surface, then schedule a conversation with Angelique.
And now, back to the Will You Grow show with Will You founder, Angelique Medow.
Welcome back. Before we dive into tips and tools, let's see what the crew has to say about today's topic.
We could really use this episode. Don't you think?
For me, curiosity has always led me to the next stage, I guess. Or I guess you could call it a stage, the next chapter. Because otherwise you're just sort of stuck in the same thing. I mean, I guess life can push you around, but, you're not going to be swimming to a different part of the pool without being curious about what's over there, I guess.
Well said.
So yeah, I mean, I was curious about just music in college, and that's what got me the internship with the studio. And then obviously curious about what was going on with Will You, and that's what brought me here. So
And
I think that's my experience.
There you go. And if I hadn't been curious about your phone call to me, we wouldn't be here today. Or I wouldn't be here today.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Yes. So we can really give some credit to following that intuitive hit and allowing our curiosity to develop us into our best self. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Next, let's talk with our special guest, Bishop Henry Bolden III, and learn his perspective on healing from abandonment. Here's our pre-recorded Zoom call. Here with me today is my friend, Bishop Henry Bolden III. Hello, Bishop Henry. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Oh, hello to you. I'm so honored to be here with you. It's
a pleasure. Yes. We had the blessing and opportunity to meet one another through a conference there in New Orleans that I was putting on. That was such a delight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you live in New Orleans, correct?
I do. Was born and raised in the beautiful city of New Orleans. And I'm a proud New Orleanian, yes.
Yes. So you are a coach and an author, a bishop. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Oh my God. The short list. I pastor church here in New Orleans. I host a leadership gathering called the Leaders Lab 4 times a year, semi-sessions, and then one major conference every year. Coaching, writing, author coach, among a lot of other things, but I'll stop there. That's enough.
Inspirational leader. That's how I know you.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I like that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for today's topic, which is about overcoming abandonment and birthing the best self. And I really enjoyed a talk that you had given about birthing our very best self, the one that we were designed for. So to start off, I think it's important for the viewers to know what the definition of abandonment is if they don't already. So I'd like to read that, and then I'd like to hear your perspective on abandonment. So, ladies and gentlemen, abandonment, which is what most people know as the physical abandonment, like leaving the baby in the basket on the doorstep, is ceasing to support or look after someone, deserting someone, as in physically. But it also can mean deserting someone emotionally. So emotional abandonment is a subjective emotional state in which people feel undesired, left behind, insecure, discarded, or unwanted. People who experience emotional abandonment may feel at a loss, cut off from a crucial source of sustenance that has been withdrawn suddenly, or by erosion, or just by people not being present. And not just not present physically, but they might not be present emotionally. So I would like to hear your perspective on this, your personal perspective.
Wow. So abandonment is, of course, this, most of the time, it's this unexplainable absence of nurture, care, influence, love. Or it can be the result of an abrupt departure of a support system, a person you thought would always be there, no matter what. And then somehow circumstances changes and abruptly they're gone, no explanation. And generally you're left in the aftermath grappling, because for the majority of time we assume the responsibility for a person's departure. And we generally go down the litany of reasons. What did I do? Was I not good enough? What could I have done to make them stay? And so you go through that gambit, especially if you've been abandoned, as I was as a child, and then consequently was raised by a grandparent. And so you grow up kind of, you have this resentment, as subtle as it is. There's this underlying brewing resentment, to wonder why you didn't think perhaps maybe I was good enough. And then you kind of adapt that whole mindset. Well, I'm not good enough. And so you walk through life anticipating, embracing yourself for people to leave. So consequently, you don't really make a lot of investments in attachments. At best, you try to be as casual as you can. I know for me early on in life, I was, and even now, people don't really believe this, that I'm really an introvert. I call myself a public introvert. I'm very public, but when I walk off the stage and the curtains are closed, I'm real introverted. And that's not to say I haven't developed or have been healed in those areas, but to some degree, you learn how to self-shield, and you learn how to take control and dominion of your own environment. I get to say who comes in, how long you stay, how long you go. And I don't even know if we have time to talk about the control factors that comes with being abandoned, because now you're proving to everybody, no one's going to do this to me again. I'm going to be in control of absolutely everything. And so I think from that emotional standpoint, the tragedy is when you've been abandoned or you've experienced that, then you're constantly thinking about the likelihood of people around you becoming disinterested, disengaged, and ultimately departing because of some disapproval. And instead of taking yourself through that whole whirlwind of trying to figure that out, you kind of keep distance between you and everybody else.
That's well said.
I hope I didn't go too far yet.
No.
Okay.
This is important because all of those things you mentioned are things that people can relate to.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that helps us to know, gee, maybe I can recognize some of those, and maybe I do have abandonment issues.
Absolutely.
There are so many people who just don't think that has anything to do with them because their parents stayed married.
Absolutely.
Or that they know who their parents are, that, I wasn't abandoned, I had a great childhood. Well, sometimes those awesome stories we have are stories we made up in our head because the situation was actually so bad.
Yeah, I like to call it convenient narratives that we create to make ourselves feel good about the circumstance we're in. Because when you're abandoned, you said something that was so profound and that I agree with, is that you can be personally be present but be very much absent. Having an absent father doesn't mean he lived outside the house. He could have been in the kitchen every day, sitting in his chair every day, never contributed to the building of your esteem, never spoke to your future or your worth. And so in that sense, then they're absent. So when you deal with these abandonment issues, though, what happens, unfortunately, is that you tend to control the depth of intimacy, the depth of interaction and intensity you're going to distribute through every relationship after the one you felt the most abandoned from. Right. So because I've been abandoned, so now I don't let things run its natural course in terms of affection, love, bond. Naturally, I have to give you me on a restricted basis. You know what I mean? I have to ration me out. That way it helps me to control the level of hurt I'm willing to sustain in case you do the same thing again.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a wise observation of yourself, that you're willing to look at your own behavior. That's something called self-introspection, which some people are not familiar with, but that helps.
Well, I think that's the basis of all healing. Mm-hmm. I think, once we get through looking on the outside of us and having someone tangible to say, okay, she did this to me, he did this to me. That doesn't change what they did. It doesn't change the fact what they did, but it's how you process it is going to determine how you're able to proceed on with life after this moment. And so you have to be able to go and reassess your reaction. You got to be honest enough to say, how did this make me feel? What kind of disposition do I have because of this? Am I honest enough to know this is a negative disposition? Even though I feel like I'm entitled and I have the right to carry that disposition, if I'm going to live a productive life and treat people the right way and give the kind of nurturing to my children or my friends or my significant others, then I had better get a handle, identify that as negative and change it, make it a mandatory change in my life. And I think it's about knowing yourself. A lot of people, they really put off knowing themselves at a deep level, so I study me. I know me inside out. I can teach a college course on me. I know my triggers. I know my response mechanisms. I know these kind of things. And so as you become more and more interested in the centering of you and understanding the peace that you can generate from within, that to be reflected in your own personal world, then you'll become more invested in learning who you are, dealing with your own flaws and inconsistencies, and constantly becoming a better version of yourself. I'm a better me today than I was yesterday. And for me, that's an accomplishment. Because at the end of every day, you go to bed with one of two things. That's results or regret. Right?
Yeah, I like it.
And so you have to decide, am I going to allow this cycle of regret to be an habitual part of my existence? Or am I going to take my failures, my flaws, my mistakes of today, do some reconfiguring of my behavior, of how I'm thinking, so that I can create a better narrative for tomorrow?
Yes. And can you help people to be able to sort through some of that? Is that something you do?
Yes, I do, actually. Absolutely. I have, I'm kind of backlogged a little bit, but I absolutely do. I counsel people through it. I take them through programs that I've developed to help get them past that abandonment place in life, because abandonment, it ultimately impairs your ability to trust at the core of it. You can't trust. Your perspective is jaded because, again, you're always searching for, what's her angle? She's cute, she's smiling, but really deep down, she wants something. And upon her retrieving what she wants, she's going to be gone. And so you have this mechanism, this unhealthy mechanism that tells you everybody wants something, and once they get it, they're gone. They're not going to reinvest. It's not going to be a reciprocal relationship. It's not going to be an exchange type of relationship. It's going to be, I'm going to get it and then I'm gone. And then you're left depleted. You're feeling incredibly horrible because you're wondering, how could I not see what was coming? I've been through this. So how did I let down my guard now? What was it about her that made me less intense or intent about keeping particular boundaries in place, so I wouldn't revisit those places of abandonment? And so, this is more than a one session kind of thing, because when you deal with abandonment, you deal with a lot of layers that you have to peel back in order to get to the core of it. But absolutely, I can help you get through it. Yes.
Yes. That sounds fantastic.
Yes.
Well, I certainly would love to hear more of your in-depth perspective on that. And maybe we could do some additional interviews and discussions on some of these opportunities. Because since I do some of that work as well, I think that there could be a great combo there.
The light bulb already went off in my head.
It'd be fun to be able to allow both of our perspectives to shine lights on whatever someone is going through.
I would love it. Love it.
A whole lot of fun. Well, I also wanted to mention that to the folks that you've done some books, and I really was impressed, especially by that first one, which you had gifted to me on our first meeting. Tell us a little bit about that book.
That one was, that's What's So Great About You. So in that book, I go through, I call it a blueprint for the emergence of the core you, right? Because most of us are better at ascribing greatness on someone else than we are at conceiving that we could possibly be great ourselves. And I write in there and I talk about how if I walked up to anybody on any given day and said, what's so great about you? The majority of people say, well, I don't know, nothing much. And so it's not until you really realize what really is great about you that you could capitalize on it, that you can monopolize on who you were gifted into the world to be and the contribution you were meant to be. And so it goes through helping you find your gifts and talents.
Yes, it certainly does. And I also enjoyed the questions in it. The questions and perspective, which were a great reminder of helping me to see myself as God would see me.
Yes.
We don't hear that from many humans.
No.
So it's nice to have a refreshing perspective. This has been a delight. Please share with our viewers where they can find you and what kinds of products they can find there, like on your website, etc.
All you got to do is go to Henry Bolden anywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any social media platform. Go to henrybolden.com. There's a store. As a matter of fact, we're uploading in the next 2 weeks some brand new products. Of course, the book that we talked about, What's So Great About You, is on there. I have a book there, Psychology of a Dreamer. And that is there. Now, that's great. Now, because dreamers are always perceived as deranged because they have an attachment to a future they can't explain. And so I go through in length and kind of show you, but you got to get it. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but get that. That's powerful. And then there's one on there talking about turning your passions into profits, that the things that God gave you, he not only wants you to maximize them, but he gave you the ability to monetize them. And got some great things that are coming up in a few weeks from now. So go to henrybolden.com and check that out. That's
great. And you also give talks at least once a week, right? Where can we find those?
Yes, YouTube at Henry W. Bolden III and Facebook at Henry Bolden. I'm on a few times a week. I have inspirational segments. I have leadership segments, spiritual segments. So you'll catch me in either one of them. They're always rotating. Yes.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's my privilege.
Thank you to our viewers. Joining us, and please drop a comment for us or 12 and let us know what you think of all this. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to being able to see you, Henry, on another show.
I am definitely coming back. As soon as you call, I'm coming. I promise you.
And now it's metaphysical tool time. Our healing stone for today is the same as last week, the black agate. And remember, we don't encourage worshiping idols of any sort, so we're not suggesting stone worshiping. We recommend using stones like we would foods. Certain foods support our health and healing. We don't worship the food, we give thanks for the food, which was created by the power that creates and sustains us all. Black agate cleanses and stabilizes the aura, eliminating and transforming negativity. Agate is a wonderful gemstone for balancing the mind, body, and spirit, as well as helping you slow down and center yourself. Agate enhances mental function, improves concentration, perception, and analytical abilities. It soothes and calms fears, heals inner anger and tension, and creates a sense of security and safety. Exactly what we need when we're working through feelings of abandonment. And our healing flower for today is verbena. In Christian lore, verbena was used to treat Christ's wounds on the cross, which is why it's sometimes called the herb of the cross. Generally, verbena is used to heal cuts and puncture wounds. For abandonment wounds, we might research the power of verbena to find ways to apply its gifts to heal our life. The Aztecs and other Native American tribes used roots and flowers as a diuretic and as a natural treatment for headaches, circulatory issues, and insomnia. Both the Greeks and the Romans believed that verbena was a holy plant. They used the sacred branches to purify their temples. The Greeks called it holy plant, while the Roman version of the same name was called sacred herb. The Romans also used the verbena plant to bless their altars. The Greek physician, Hippocrates, is said to have recommended verbena for fever and plague. So what say ye? Please share your thoughts and feelings about healing abandonment with us so that we may learn and grow stronger and more fulfilled together. As always, we thank you for watching and sharing time together. If you liked today's show, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications. Hit the like button to let us know that you like what we're doing, and hit the share button to share this message with people that you care about. To see more of our videos, click the green Will You button that's located below this video and then scroll down. If you'd like to mentor with me, please feel free to schedule your complimentary conversation at willyougrow.com today, and I'll look forward to speaking with you soon. And for now, we bid you adieu. Take excellent care of your very fine self, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Always with love, from Angelique.
Excellent.
Go team!
Another one down.
That's a strong close.
Very nice.
Good.
For more information about programs offered by Will You, mentoring with Angelique, and to watch video success stories from clients, explore willyougrow.com. If you or your company are interested in inspiring our mutual audience by sponsoring this or another of our programs, let's talk about it. Boost viewer confidence and trust in your company. Call 1-833-WILL-YOU. then press extension number 6. Make sure to click the subscribe button to get reminders before upcoming shows.